In the late 2000s, as the world reeled from a financial crisis, a tall, charismatic Israeli immigrant named Adam Neumann saw opportunity in the vacant offices of New York City. Having dabbled in quirky startups, from collapsible women's shoes to baby clothes with knee pads, Neumann hungered for a venture as big as his ambitions. In 2010, he and co-founder Miguel McKelvey opened a humble co-working space in Manhattan's Soho district, planting the seed for what would become WeWork. The concept was simple yet revolutionary. Lease large office floors on long terms, refurbish them into trendy communal workspaces, then sublease desks and offices to freelancers, startups, and corporations on flexible terms. This rent arbitrage model, long leases in, short rentals out, aimed to capitalize on the new era of the gig economy and entrepreneurship. Neumann envisioned WeWork as more than just office spaces. He aimed to create a community and fundamentally transform how people worked. Driven by grand ambitions, he presented WeWork as a movement destined to change the world, far beyond simply renting desks. This captivating vision drew freelancers and small businesses to vibrant, collaborative spaces featuring glass-walled offices, free beer, and buzzing common areas. Neumann's charisma and persuasive energy secured crucial partnerships with landlords and investors, fueling WeWork's rapid expansion throughout New York. By 2011, only a year after launching, WeWork was rapidly expanding within New York and spreading across the U.S. Neumann, known for his long hair, barefoot walks, and boundless enthusiasm, promoted himself as a visionary entrepreneur, championing community and collaboration through work. Employees felt energized by his ethos of unity and hustle. Investors quickly recognized WeWork's potential as a physical social network for the emerging freelance workforce. With the economy rebounding, affordable rents, and growing demand for community-driven workplaces, Neumann's timing proved impeccable. From a single co-working space, WeWork quickly exploded into a phenomenon. By 2014, the company boasted numerous locations and significant venture funding. Neumann's infectious enthusiasm and visionary image grew alongside each new office and city. Known for raising tequila toasts at company events, he promised WeWork marked just the start of a broader transformation in how people lived and worked. These early successes set the stage for an extraordinary rise, one destined for spectacular heights followed by a dramatic fall. WeWork's expansion in the mid-2010s was explosive. Powered by venture capital and Neumann's boundless ambition, the company rapidly scaled internationally. By 2017, WeWork had become a global powerhouse, operating sleek co-working spaces from New York to London and Beijing to Buenos Aires. By mid-2019, it had 528 locations across 111 cities in 29 countries, serving over 500,000 members, from freelancers to Fortune 500 firms. Each expansion was celebrated as a milestone toward building a physical global network. Neumann boldly declared this was just the beginning, envisioning WeWork as the dominant player in a trillion-dollar global workspace market. A pivotal moment in WeWork's ascent was the involvement of Masayoshi Son, billionaire CEO of SoftBank. In 2017, Son's massive $100 billion vision fund targeted WeWork, impressed by Neumann's bold vision. Recognizing Neumann as a fellow audacious dreamer, Son committed over $10 billion to fuel WeWork's rapid expansion. Famously challenging Neumann to think bigger, "You're not crazy enough," he said. Son's backing encouraged Neumann to accelerate growth dramatically. WeWork went global, rapidly opening offices worldwide, with ambitions pushed further by Son's suggestion of a potential trillion-dollar valuation. Neumann embraced this as a mandate to dominate the workspace industry at unprecedented scale and speed. WeWork's valuations surged dramatically. By early 2019, funding rounds led by SoftBank valued the newly rebranded The We Company at a staggering $47 billion, placing it among the world's top startups. Adam Neumann was celebrated as a billionaire visionary who revolutionized commercial real estate. Inside WeWork, growth was relentless. Employee numbers soared, revenues reportedly doubled annually, though matched by massive losses, and rapid expansion spread into new ventures like apartment living, WeLive, and education. We grow. Ambition had no limits. Everything seemed achievable. Throughout 2018 and early 2019, Adam Neumann seemed unstoppable, gracing magazine covers and engaging with world leaders. Investors likened his charisma to icons like Steve Jobs, while SoftBank's Masayoshi Son dubbed WeWork his next Alibaba, poised to dominate its market. Neumann boldly proclaimed WeWork's mission to elevate the world's consciousness, pitching it as more than a real estate firm, a transformative global community company. The hype captivated investors and the tech world. However, beneath the dazzling narrative and towering valuations, foundational cracks emerged, soon to trigger one of the most spectacular corporate collapses in recent memory. At WeWork's peak, Adam Neumann cultivated a personal lifestyle and company culture as legendary as the business itself. Inside WeWork, Neumann was treated as more guru than CEO, passionately preaching about community, mission, and even elevating consciousness alongside his wife, Rebecca. Company retreats felt like vibrant festivals, featuring music, mass celebrations, and Neumann rallying crowds with tequila, especially his beloved Don Julio, 1942. Lines between work and partying blurred, particularly during all-night events at WeWork's famed summer camps. Neumann famously banned employees from expensing meat, citing sustainability, a mix of idealism and authority. His barefoot strolls through headquarters reinforced an impression. Standard rules didn't apply to him or WeWork. Neumann's extravagant lifestyle quickly became legendary within WeWork lore. As the company's valuation soared, he embraced the symbols of success, acquiring at least 5 lavish homes, including a $10.5 million Manhattan townhouse, a sprawling 60-acre estate, and a massive residence pieced together from multiple luxury apartments. Most notoriously, WeWork purchased a $60 million Gulfstream G650 private jet for Neumann, emblematic of the company's lavish spending. Many saw these excesses as troubling signs. At WeWork's New York headquarters, Neumann even installed a cold plunge ice bath and openly advocated trendy health practices and spirituality, reinforcing the sense that WeWork had become his personal kingdom rather than merely an office rental business. Corporate governance at WeWork was molded entirely around Neumann, raising significant concerns. He structured the company with a multi-class stock system, granting him exceptional voting rights, up to 20 votes per share, ensuring near total control and leaving regular investors virtually powerless. The board was filled with friends and close allies, lacking any women for most of its existence. Neumann even included a clause allowing his wife, Rebecca, significant influence over selecting his successor if he died, an unusual succession arrangement. Rebecca, a co-founder and chief brand officer, actively shaped WeWork's direction, notably overseeing its education project, We Grow. Several family members held positions within the company, including Adam's brother-in-law as head of wellness, reinforcing perceptions of nepotism and insularity. Perhaps most troubling were the conflicts of interest and questionable practices thriving under Neumann's leadership. He bought personal stakes in buildings and then leased them back to WeWork, profiting from both sides. The company also provided Neumann with loans at little or no interest. Infamously, WeWork paid him $5.9 million for the rights to the trademark We, money he returned after public backlash. Even as WeWork burned cash, Neumann privately extracted significant funds, reportedly cashing out or borrowing against $700 million of his stock ahead of the planned IPO. Such actions hinted at a charismatic yet self-serving leader. Loyal investors often overlooked or dismissed these practices as founder eccentricities while the company thrived. But soon WeWork's rapid growth would falter, bringing these hidden issues into the harsh glare of public scrutiny. By 2019, dark clouds gathered over WeWork's once glittering empire. Investors and analysts began scrutinizing its business model, which was burning cash at an alarming pace, aggressively leasing and luxuriously renovating spaces while offering costly incentives. Despite rising revenue, losses soared even faster. In 2018 alone, WeWork lost roughly $1.9 billion on $1.8 billion in revenue, a troubling imbalance for seasoned investors. The fundamental model, long-term lease obligations paired with short-term memberships, seemed increasingly precarious, especially with economic uncertainty looming. Internally, executives grew wary of the rapid expansion and enormous losses. Externally, market sentiment cooled towards cash-burning startups, influenced by disappointing IPOs like Uber and scandals such as Theranos. With its inflated valuation and unclear path to profitability, WeWork became a test case for Silicon Valley's hype versus economic reality. In August 2019, WeWork filed paperwork for its highly anticipated IPO, lifting the curtain on its internal finances and practices. Immediately, analysts and investors were stunned by the revelations: massive financial losses, questionable business strategies, and troubling corporate governance. The prospectus detailed extravagant spending, Neumann's conflicts of interest, and a risky lease model that depended heavily on a booming economy. Investors saw red flags everywhere. What had seemed a transformative startup now looked deeply unstable, overly reliant on hype and endless cash infusions. Media coverage turned sharply negative, openly questioning Neumann's judgment and leadership. Suddenly, WeWork's $47 billion valuation appeared wildly inflated. As skepticism spread, investors cooled, jeopardizing the IPO, and Neumann's empire began to unravel at breathtaking speed. Investor confidence unraveled rapidly after WeWork's IPO filing. Initially aiming for a valuation above $40 billion, investor skepticism quickly forced bankers to reconsider, first down to $20 billion, then potentially as low as $10 billion. Alarmed by the plunging valuation, SoftBank, WeWork's largest investor, having previously backed the company at a $47 billion valuation, stepped in. On September 9, 2019, SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son effectively urged postponing the IPO, wary of a disastrous public market debut. Meanwhile, WeWork's board, which included representatives from prominent venture firm Benchmark, urgently discussed governance reforms to ease investor concerns. They proposed reducing Adam Neumann's super voting shares from 20 votes per share down to 10, and removing his wife, Rebecca Neumann, from succession plans. In an effort to calm criticism, an updated IPO filing confirmed these changes. Neumann's voting power would indeed be halved. He agreed to return profits from leasing properties back to the company, and Rebecca was removed from the succession line. Neumann even refunded the controversial $5.9 million trademark payment for the We name. Despite these late adjustments, they proved insufficient to overcome the swelling negative sentiment, which ultimately derailed the IPO. By mid-September 2019, WeWork's highly anticipated IPO had collapsed into chaos. Media reports exposed a toxic workplace culture and Adam Neumann's erratic behavior, including his lavish partying lifestyle and bizarre ambitions, like wanting to live forever and become the world's first trillionaire. One notorious incident involved flight crew reportedly finding a significant amount of marijuana on a private jet Neumann took to Israel. Internally, WeWork faced looming mass layoffs and dwindling cash reserves. It became clear drastic measures were needed, focusing squarely on Neumann himself. The once celebrated founder was now seen as a major liability, prompting previously supportive investors to secretly orchestrate a boardroom coup to remove him and prevent total collapse. Adam Neumann's reign at WeWork ended abruptly in September 2019. As the IPO unraveled, major investors, including Masayoshi Son and Benchmark Capital, moved swiftly against him. Son, who once encouraged Neumann's boldness, personally confronted him in New York. Despite Neumann's initial resistance, the investors made it clear his departure was essential to saving the company. Facing a potential forced removal through a board vote, Neumann entered negotiations about stepping down. Within weeks, the once powerful founder went from preparing for a triumphant IPO to desperately negotiating the terms of his exit, a stunning reversal of fortune. On September 24, 2019, under intense board pressure, Adam Neumann resigned as WeWork's CEO. Although framed as voluntary and in the company's best interests, the move was clearly forced. Two internal executives, Artie Minson and Sebastian Gunningham, stepped in as co-CEOs to stabilize the company, while Neumann stayed temporarily as non-executive chairman, marking the end of his era of absolute control. Immediately after, WeWork halted its IPO indefinitely and began urgent cost-cutting measures to save the business. New leadership quickly started shedding non-core acquisitions from Neumann's expansion spree, including a wave pool manufacturer and Rebecca Neumann's private school venture, WeGrow. The sole focus shifted toward conserving cash, reducing expenses, and staving off bankruptcy. Public reaction to Neumann's departure as CEO was intense. Once hailed as a visionary, Neumann was now effectively ousted from his own company mere weeks before the planned IPO. Controversy deepened when details emerged of his extravagant exit package amid looming employee layoffs. In October 2019, SoftBank finalized a bailout, injecting billions to rescue WeWork at a drastically reduced valuation of around $8 billion. SoftBank removed Neumann entirely from the board and all executive roles. In exchange, Neumann received an astounding $1.7 billion golden parachute, including approximately $1 billion for his shares, a $185 million consulting fee, and a $500 million credit line. The lavish payout sparked widespread outrage, particularly among WeWork employees facing imminent layoffs, seen as rewarding a leader who had nearly destroyed the company. From SoftBank's perspective, however, this was the necessary cost of swiftly removing Neumann and stabilizing the company without a lengthy legal battle. After Neumann's dramatic departure, WeWork quickly became emblematic of startup excess and hubris. The planned IPO was entirely scrapped, and the company's valuation plunged by roughly 80%, from $47 billion to near financial collapse in just over a month. Media labeled it one of the most catastrophically bungled IPO attempts ever. For Neumann personally, it marked a stark reckoning, his charisma and risk-taking overshadowed by the excesses and poor judgment he had once dismissed. Under new leadership in SoftBank's control, WeWork immediately enacted drastic cost-cutting measures, laying off thousands and closing offices worldwide. Extravagances of the Neumann era vanished. WeGrow was shuttered, the private jet sold, and lavish events ended abruptly. Neumann, the once celebrated visionary founder, was now sidelined, forced to watch as the company he created fought desperately for survival. Adam Neumann's dramatic exit wasn't the final chapter for WeWork or himself. Under SoftBank's control, WeWork tried to stabilize by shrinking ambitions and filling office spaces. In October 2021, it finally went public via a SPAC merger at around $9 billion, significantly down from its peak $47 billion valuation. Yet the company's fundamental issues remained unresolved, worsened by the pandemic-driven office vacancy crisis. Profitability remained elusive, and by November 2023, WeWork filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, burdened by over $13 billion in unaffordable lease obligations. It marked a sobering fall from grace. The company, once hailed as the future of work, now relied on court protection to reorganize, its stock nearly worthless. WeWork's implosion starkly highlighted the unsustainability of its explosive growth, as Neumann's empire built on flexible spaces and lofty promises ultimately crumbled beneath massive debt and faded hype. After leaving WeWork in 2019, Adam Neumann initially withdrew from the public eye, using his substantial exit package to travel and regroup with his family. Though various investigations surfaced, including an SEC inquiry into WeWork's disclosures, Neumann avoided significant legal fallout. In 2021, he resolved a dispute with SoftBank over his stock buyout, accepting a slightly reduced, yet still massive payout. By 2022, however, Neumann began plotting his return to the startup world. That summer, Silicon Valley heavyweight Andreessen Horowitz stunned observers by investing around $350 million in Neumann's new venture, Flow, valuing it at over $1 billion. The largest individual investment the firm had made at that time. The news reignited controversy. Critics questioned why Neumann was again receiving substantial backing, while others wondered if he had truly learned from his prior failures. Adam Neumann's new venture, Flow, Flow aimed to revolutionize residential real estate, much as WeWork sought to transform offices. Quietly acquiring thousands of apartment units across Miami, Nashville, and Fort Lauderdale, Flow planned to offer tech-driven, community-centric living spaces. By 2023, the company was actively developing properties, promising efficiency and community, essentially replicating WeWork's model for housing. Critics noted the irony of Neumann again pursuing a heavily idealistic real estate concept backed by significant investment. Venture capital giant Andreessen Horowitz justified their support, labeling Neumann a visionary capable of reshaping residential living. Indeed, by April 2025, Flow had raised over $100 million in a Series B round, reaching a valuation of roughly $2.5 billion. Neumann framed Flow as his redemption story, determined to avoid past mistakes and rewrite his own narrative, even as WeWork's spectacular collapse lingered in public memory. In an unexpected twist, Adam Neumann attempted a return to WeWork itself. In late 2023, as WeWork neared bankruptcy, Neumann, alongside investors through a new entity, offered over $500 million to repurchase the company's core business and assets. This startling bid, by the very founder WeWork once ousted, positioned Neumann as a potential savior, promising a revival strategy for the struggling firm. However, negotiations faltered, and by May 2024, Neumann withdrew his bid, criticizing WeWork's reorganization plan as unrealistic and unlikely to succeed. Thus ended the surreal episode of Neumann's near comeback. WeWork proceeded without him under new management, while Neumann refocused on ventures like Flow. Adam Neumann's rise and fall is among the most captivating cautionary tales in modern business, a narrative blending visionary ambition and dangerous hubris. His charismatic leadership and bold ideas propelled WeWork from startup to a global brand valued at $47 billion in less than a decade. Yet his excesses, mismanagement, and lack of accountability nearly destroyed it, costing investors billions. The saga contained thrilling highs, dramatic boardroom clashes, and an epic downfall that captivated the world. WeWork's collapse provided stark lessons on corporate governance, due diligence, and the perils of unchecked ambition and personality-driven leadership. Though Neumann's story isn't finished, his new ventures suggest ongoing dreams of redemption. The WeWork saga already stands as legendary in startup history. It serves as a powerful reminder that charisma alone doesn't guarantee success, and just like Icarus, soaring too high carries real risks. If you enjoyed diving into the dramatic story of Adam Neumann and WeWork, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating tales of business triumphs and downfalls. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means everything.